I'm just going to begin by laying out some groundwork. And I'm going to begin, predictably enough, given where we are, with Erasmus. Because I think Erasmus is probably there 500 years ago, almost exactly 500 years ago, set up with the big question in politics, which is there a vision of politics which is connected with the idea of virtue, with the idea of morality? Is it possible to be a good politician? What would it mean to be a morally good politician? And against him at the very same time, again, almost exactly 500 years ago, his direct contemporary, Niccolo Machiavelli. Now, Machiavelli is a confusing person, and I'm sure there will be people in this room with many views on what Machiavelli says, but fundamentally, Machiavelli is a radical who turned against everything that Erasmus stood for. In fact, if you look at The Prince, Machiavelli's great text on how to be a prince, you can see that he deliberately chooses some of the key virtues that Erasmus supports and turns them on his head. Erasmus talks about generosity, he talks about mercy, and he talks about honesty. And Machiavelli says very explicitly, chapter by chapter, should a prince be generous? No. A prince should be stingy. Should a prince be merciful? No. Generally speaking, a prince should be cruel. Should a prince be truthful? No. Generally speaking, a prince should be dishonest. And Machiavelli is a genuinely revolutionary figure. He's a bracing figure. He's a man who essentially argues something that feels very, very modern. He essentially argues that the world in which we operate, the world of public opinion, is like a completely unstable, choppy ocean. And the only way to survive is to be as choppy as that ocean. Because what you're swimming in is a sea of public opinion. And the public is fickle, and they change their minds all the time. And therefore you, as a politician, should be equally fickle, not feel that you should keep your promises, but you should shift and move with public opinion. And why? Because for Machiavelli, the purpose of politics is success, glory. Glory. The whole purpose is to be the powerful leader of a successful state, basically full stop. Now, there is a tradition in analyzing Machiavelli, and I don't want to be drawn into a discussion on political philosophy that tries to let him off the hook and argue that secretly he's really on the side of virtue. He's not. He is a profoundly shocking figure. And the tradition against which he is turning is the tradition that goes from Aristotle to Cicero and terminates with Erasmus. And it's a tradition that essentially says, if we go right back to Aristotle, that the core of politics lies in three things. What Aristotle calls logos, reason, the content, we could say in modern terms, sometimes the policy of politics. Pathos, which is communication, emotion, rhetoric, and ethos, which is the idea of moral character. And if we're trying to look for a vision of politics, and of course, it's a vision of politics that I want to stand up for. I want to stand up for Erasmus, I want to stand up for Aristotle, I want to stand up for Cicero, but particularly want to stand up for Erasmus here today. It is that vision of logos, pathos, and above all, ethos.